Hello, hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good, good. How about you?
Good. It's this week we're entering the
Hello, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, you were saying this week is
Holidays are starting in the US. We got Thanksgiving in the US here.
that's right. Is that your Thursday or Friday?
Yes.
Cool.
Oh, let me switch my internet connection real quick.
Okay, sure. Hey, you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Should we get started?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. First and foremost, welcome to the call, everyone, and here's your antitrust policy. And while you're avidly reading that, Luke won't be able to join this call. This clash, I believe, related to holiday season. So there you go.
Mm,
But hopefully he can join the next call. Um,
cool. Looking forward to meeting them.
yeah, definitely. Okay. Before we get into the agenda, is there anything you wanted to add to the agenda, James?
I think that I want to talk about the OWF. And then I think mostly look at the PRs that you've been working on. So I think you covered, I guess, from the framework perspective, continuing work there, I think I would hope to be able to show off, do some kind of demonstration of where I've gotten to on the next call, but I kind of wanted to check in, so I think
Mhm.
what you've got there is at least a good starting point.
Cool. Okay. Sounds good. Sorry, 1 second. I'm just logging back into the
Ah,
site.
mood. And you don't want to share your password, the screen share that goes to everybody.
I think I would have been all good, but I don't know, maybe password length. Maybe you could
Ah,
get
that's true.
the 18 characters, what they are. All right, cool. Okay, so yeah, the things I wanted to cover. First of all, he's not on the call, but we've invited Luke Lee to be one of the maintainers of VCX. I don't think he'll be super active, at least initially, with contributions. He's quite busy with other work at Anonymy. But yeah, he's a colleague at Anonymy and wants to come help out with the project a bit. Doing reviews and talking bigger picture. Um, and yeah, we might see more active involvement from him in the future. Yeah, he's contributed to a few PRs to VCX before, and works a lot with Rust and a bit with Aries, so it seems like a good fit. So welcome, Luke. Um, and so yeah, the big one that sort of just happened was the removal of Indy. So thanks, James, for pushing this through. Um, yeah,
No,
honestly,
thank you.
I
I am very happy that this has happened.
know it's good. It's good for, let's have a look at the lock file. Do we have yeah, look at that beautiful negative number. We love to see that. So yeah, this is good for consumers. In the past, there's always been this issue with VCX where we try to separate things by feature flags, but it always gets a little bit leaky, and maybe someone who doesn't care about indie is accidentally consuming some of those dependencies, and they're all legacy stuff that was affecting consumers. So it's all stripped
Mhm.
out now. And yeah, once it was stripped out, it wasn't a crazy amount of work to patch everything up. Just a few things needed to be switched. And in doing so, there was a couple bugs that were discovered with the ASCAR wallet implementation, mostly minor things. So that's what most of this positive number is just fixing um, some of those ASCAR wallet related bugs. But it seems to be working now, so that's good. Um, and I think so. It was a while ago, but I think the mediator image problem might be fixed now. So that's
Oh, that would be nice.
good.
That's the amount of emails I've gotten on that front.
Or maybe not. Never mind. So that's still an item. Um, yeah, so yeah, indie removal. And then yeah, my other update is this sort of did resolve it effort I've been working on. This is sort of currently where a lot of Anonymy's interest lies. So that's where I've been working, or that's been my core motivation. Um, and so, particularly, we have this nice setup in VCX in the repo where these did resolvers exist and these did utilities exist, and great typing for did documents and utility functions for it, but just a limited set of resolvers. So this effort's been expanding those resolvers. So the one I did most recently, or second most recently, was this did JWK resolvable. So this is the resolver for that, and I think we may have touched on it before, but oh, sorry, not this one. Yeah, we may have touched on it before, but I've been seeing did JWK a fair bit in OpenID for VC applications. People seem to be using that as an alternative to did key. So yeah, I have a resolver implementation and also utilities for converting between keys and did JWK did in review. That's currently with Luke, and I think Luke should be able to get to it perhaps tomorrow. Um, but maybe it'll get in the way all the holiday stuff. Um, but yeah, James as well. If you're interested, feel free to have a look at this. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it is cool to see the additional methods that you're working on here and adding to the did resolver. Um, so it's awesome to see that. One of my and I one of the I have two thoughts. One of them being I noticed on your list of ones I may have interested in adding the did PLC resolver as well. That might be something I might look at doing.
oh yeah.
But you might actually beat me to that. We'll see.
No, to be honest, I wasn't really familiar with PLC. I only added this because in the previous call with Alberto, he had mentioned it. So I just added it to the list. Um, okay, that's cool to hear. So you guys are working with PLC a little bit?
I have a desire to potentially do some stuff with this because seeing the success the Blue Sky that is having and it's using DIDs, using the DID PLC that method. I think
Mm,
it's cool to see the amount of adoption that's happening there in a real world use case. So actually being able to work with that ecosystem, I could see being something interesting there. So that's some of the motivation there.
cool. Okay. Yeah, great. Great, great, great.
My second thought I had was I was wondering how much, uh, and maybe this is more suited for the moving to OWF conversation, but one of my questions is, should the did resolver that is in Aries VCX right now, should it be in Aries VCX, or is it something that you think maybe should be, or I should say, I think it maybe should be moved out into a separate repo as a standalone project, because right now I don't know if it has the visibility
Mm,
that it could be very beneficial to other projects as well as a kind of a core resource versus every
mm,
project re-implementing the wheel, you know.
mm, mm.
um that's a thought. uh that might just be adding additional administration and overhead that isn't useful right now. And what might be useful is to market the fact that we have a did resolver package that could be useful for people, and then if it gets enough adoption in other places, then we pull it out, or don't pull it out ever. I don't know. That you have thoughts on uh, that question?
Yeah, no, no, no. Great question. I'm glad you're raising it. Yeah, so as you'd know, that sort of separated into these two folders, an Aries related set of crates, and a did core related set of crates. But part of the problem here maybe is that the repo is called Aries, but then we're putting together things that aren't really necessarily Aries. They're just W3C did core stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so if someone's looking for did stuff to do did stuff in their Rust project, they're probably not gonna come looking here immediately. Um, so yeah, it's not extremely obvious that this is a big part of what's in here. Um, hmm. But yeah, should
So
it?
I guess one of my thoughts, just as you were talking, that came up was that uh, it may be wise for us to keep it as a in this repo just from the administration standpoint, because then
Hmm,
we don't have to do the tests and the deployments and all of that separately. If we
hmm,
get additional contributors and interest, that might be the point where we pull it out.
yeah.
Or yeah, because I think that just adds overhead right now that isn't yeah, there's been no strong vocal uh desire to have it be a separate repo as of yet, so that
Yeah.
uh it may be something we want to do in the future, but the timing isn't now.
Hmm. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It is something to think about. And what our brand is. Is it an Aries brand or what is it? Um, because yeah, I think this section of the code base is quite valuable. The ABSA guys did a really good job, in my opinion, setting up a lot of the types and the traits in there. Um, I found it relatively easy to expand on what they've already built. Um,
Hmm.
and I would imagine, there's other Rust projects out there that need did resolution. Um, and I'm sure everyone's redefining the did resolver trait a million times. Why not just have one?
Yep. One, I wouldn't even put it like if there's interest in it, we could also do a put a unify layer in front of it, then that works for Python and JavaScript and any other language that someone chooses to use theoretically.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay. Cool.
So I guess all that to say, it's cool to see you working on these methods and expanding the capabilities of it. So
Well, yeah, it's good fun writing these resolvers, to be honest. I enjoy doing it. Um, yeah, okay, yeah, so that one's in review, JWK. Did keys, pretty simple. It's already mostly there. So I might do that one next potentially. Um, and yeah, another one that's sort of halfway in progress, and maybe you're aware of it if you've been monitoring one of the threads in the Discord. But there's someone out there who's working on a TDW resolver in Rust, and was particularly looking at VCX as perhaps where they'll inherit the did resolver trait from and try to implement according to what
Mm,
we've defined in VCX. So yeah, they sort of work on it every couple of weeks or so, and we get an update in Discord from them in a particular thread if you're curious to try find it. Um, but yeah, it seems like there's active work there, and potentially we get it into VCX, quote unquote, for free, which would be nice.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that's one to be monitoring. Um, Yeah, and the other one that I'm actively looking at and implementing is this checked resolver. Um, Nothing fancy yet with did resources or anything like that. I'll be doing that next probably, but this is just a basic check did resolver, resolving dids from their testnet and mainnet. I'm pretty much done with it. I'm just going to self-review it first and then make sure I'm happy with it all. Uh,
Mm,
I'm in contact with some of the Czech guys as well, so I'll swing this their way to, do a sort of pre-review and make sure they're happy with the approach.
mm,
I've generally tried to copy the approach they took in their TypeScript SDK, um, sort of just converting it to Rust. Um, Yeah. Yeah. Out of curiosity, James, have you worked with proto buffs before?
uh, I don't think so, or at least it's I have consciously removed them from my memory
Yes.
based off of the experience.
Okay. Okay. No, all good. Yeah, the reason I'm asking is basically the way check did resolution works, or the way I've tackled it, is all the checked nodes, or a lot of the checked nodes, validator nodes in their blockchain run this like gRPC, this like RPC front end that clients can hit to try resolve DIDs. So pretty much the
Mm,
nodes already have DID resolvers built into them. Uh,
mhm,
and and so what this implementation ended up being is just us calling out to some of those nodes to say, hey, give me the did document data, and then we transform that document data um, into our Rust type for it. Um, and yeah, that gRPC is using Google protobufs as the typing and as sort of the service. Um, yeah, and
fun.
I'll talk this over with the checked guys since they're the most experienced with this stuff. But the approach I have at the moment is sort of taking in some of these prototypes, and then there's like Rust types that are generated based off these proto files, these proto definitions. You can see one of them here. This is just like type definitions for a did document. But then, yeah, the norm, I believe, in this protobuf ecosystem is you take these types and then generate, wrappers in your language, Rust in our case, and you get Rust types and Rust services or clients to call on the RPC.
Mm. And
Um,
I'm assuming that's a manual process.
yeah, yeah. So
Eh.
there is a way to there is a way to point it at like a this particular crate registry where the types are already pre-generated, but you need API keys to do that to pull from there, and that would be a bit of a It'd be bad for our consumers, for the VCX consumers, because now everyone downstream also needs to have that API key as part of their cargo setup.
Mm,
That'd be a bit annoying. So yeah,
yep.
the approach I've gone with is I cover it in the README, but essentially, um, yeah, those prototypes are checked in, um, which they rarely ever get updated because if they were to make changes to these proto files, it's going to impact a lot of people. So they rarely get updated, or if they do, they're backwards compatible. So yeah, they're checked in, but if there is a new release, the process would be to pull in the new proto files, which is available in their registry, and then I just have this like Rust binary, which when you run it, it'll regenerate the Rust files. Um, yeah, and there is a way to generate these Rust files at build time. So when you do a cargo build, it'll automatically find these protofiles and generate the types out.
Hmm.
Which I do like that. It's clean because then you don't have to check in the Rust files. Um, but the Rust files aren't extremely complicated. They're sort of 200 line files, and they even have documentation in them. Uh, and so I like the idea of checking in those files because then we're able to exactly monitor what code we're putting in our crates. Um,
I would agree in this case.
yeah,
It
I
seems
think
appropriate to me to check it in and then have that be a manual update if and when those get updated. Because like it would also be different if it was like this is getting updated. The protos files are getting updated every 2 weeks.
yes,
Uh, but since it's so infrequent, I think it seems appropriate to check it in and then have that be a manual update when that needs to happen.
yep, 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 exactly. And another thing as well, I just thought of, I think the process where you put it into the build phase, so whenever you do cargo build and regenerate the types, I think that build step as well requires consumers to have like the protobuf C binary installed on their
Mm,
um, so that's very bad for consumers as well. They'll get a confusing
yep.
error message.
Especially if they aren't using the checks resolver.
Yeah,
Because if this repo was just about using checked, like sure, like it's
yeah,
part of the prerequisites. But like, given that it's an option, uh, I think that could be confusing for consumers.
yep. Just make a note of that. Cool. Yeah, so yeah, I'll be finishing this up shortly. Uh, yeah, it seems to be working against some sample check dids we have. So yeah, it's looking good.
Nice.
Cool. Okay. Um, maybe we can get into this after. Any updates from you, James?
Um, right now I'm moving towards working on the mediator coordination related code. So being able to um, connect to a mediator, request mediation, and then go into the pickup protocol live mode, all that fun coordination. I think as part of that, I need to get the pickup v4 protocol finalized.
Mm.
And hopefully I can do that uh, by Monday. I think I can do that. Well, I could get my part of it done, and then I could bring it up on the DIGCOM user group call. Actually, that probably won't be happening on Monday because it's the first. Anyways, I'll get that. I gotta get the that protocol to a state that it can get merged, and then um try and push that forward because I'd like to use pickup v4 rather than v2 if possible. The differences will be fairly minor, but have important implications.
Mhm.
um,
Cool. Is it this work?
yep.
Cool. Cool.
Essentially, it's cleaning up small things in the protocol, um, and also unifies DIGCOM v1 and v2 because the pickup v3 was made, but it was for DIGCOM v2 specifically,
Yeah.
and didn't really add anything different from v2.
Yeah.
So v4 puts them on both the same one and specifically clarifies that messages must be acknowledged in live mode, um, so that the mediator knows to delete them, because we've had issues where the mediator sends it down in live mode, but the client has disconnected on the WebSockets, but that hadn't synced, and so then you have messages that just go into the void,
Mhm.
essentially. So important, but is a minor. Um, is a it's not like a major overhaul of the protocol.
Mm. Cool. Okay, cool. So yeah, you're looking to support both V1 and V2 of Didcom?
Yes, this was a discussion we had in the DIGCOM users group about, and we didn't really ever settle on any distinct differences from how I approached it here, and that the thought process is that in the actual protocol, the code examples for the protocols has one that defines what the message looks like for DIGCOM v1 and one that it looks like for v2. Um, and it's possible that we could introduce a DIGCOM version in the protocol URI in the future, but that was not something we were super keen on doing
Mm-hmm.
based off of that discussion, as I remember it. Um, so, and given that the flow is the same for both DIGCOM v1 and v2, it totally works. If
Hmm.
it's something that the flow ends up being different for DIGCOM v2, I could see needing to have two separate protocols versus combining them into one. But since this case, it's just minor syntax changes between the two versions, just combining them, I think, makes sense. Uh, yeah.
Cool. And are these are all the messages in this protocol encrypted? Like with DIDCOM encryption?
Yes. So it uses uh we use forward messages. So the mediator receives a forward message for a specific key that gets registered via the coordinate mediation protocol.
Mhm.
Um, and it will put it in a queue for the user, or for the I should probably say the holder in this case. The holder will then go send a request message, and then the mediator just will stream down the all messages in the queue that are encrypted. So the mediator, it's an end-to-end encryption using DIGCOM.
Awesome. Very cool. So after this is through, did you say you're trying to push this through now, this PR?
Yeah, I'm trying to push this through, and for the development effort, I can just use pickup v2 in the meantime, especially because the v4 also has to be implemented on the mediator side, that for whatever mediator is being used. Um, so like on Akapi, for instance. So that will take some time as well. But I am, while I'm working on the mediator stuff, I want to get this through so that it can get implemented.
Awesome. Very cool. Just out of my own curiosity, can you, and from the status on these DIDCOM calls you go into, is there a lot of consumers of DIDCOM V2 yet?
Um, I think that is a good question. I think that from my perspective, especially in the past year or so, that has picked up. pace. I'm not as close to seeing. I don't have my finger on the pulse of how close it is in terms of implementation in like Akapai and Credo, but I know that there's efforts happening there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in terms of adoption, yeah, I don't have a clear answer for you, but I think that I guess the clearest answer I have is that it is a lot farther along than it was a year and a half, 2 years ago. Um, like I could actually see that adoption picking up pace here soon, especially if we can get it into the frameworks.
Yep. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, because I was when I saw this, I was sort of wondering if the did guys or the diff guys just say don't bother defining a V1 version because we shouldn't be using that and sort of pushing for V2. But if they're allowing both, then that's sort of, I don't know, acknowledging that probably a lot of people are still on V1, realistically.
Yeah, I think it's a they. I think that, I think it's open enough space that I think they are fine with adding it.
Mm,
Um, who actually ends up adopting and implementing it? That's a slightly different question because that's that's the hard part, you know. And but I think from my perspective, it is a shift that takes time.
mm,
Um, like I think, for instance, we have finally uh I guess I don't want to say certifiably, but like largely, I want to say that we've actually migrated to using out of band and did
mm,
exchange versus using the connection protocol. That was something
mhm,
that actually took a lot of time from my perspective to make that transition from the community adoption perspective. Like there was obviously some people who were already using it for quite some time, but for the general adoption to take place, that took a while.
mhm.
Um, and it's that's an easier one to do than the shift to DIGCOM, for instance, or DIGCOM v2 from my perspective.
Mhm.
Because like out of band, that one's just changing the QR code and then the connection uh, or the handshake protocol that's being used essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
that's easier than switching all of your protocols to using a different format.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Okay. Reasonable. Very cool. Cool, cool. Okay, anything else from you?
I don't think for today. I think hopefully I'll have some updates or demonstration I can do next time. I will say next week, but not next week. 2 weeks from now.
Yep. Cool, cool. Um, yeah, so on OWF, yeah, is your opinion on our sort of plan to migrate there after the framework is ready? Is that still what you had in mind for OWF?
I think so, but like I think that we may be able to like my hope my thought process here is that I want to have a first version that is like have a 0.1 version of the framework that is ready like in the next 2 weeks here. Like
Mhm.
it may not be able to do everything, but it's the initial version that is at least a foundation to work from. Given that timing, given that thought process, uh, I think it's something where we could start the ball moving on actually working on the paperwork, talking to the people to actually start making that happen of moving to OWF because um, it is a little bit of a process. Like we have to go present to the technical steering committee or uh, I don't know if it's the TSC over there. We have to present to the the people in charge and answer their questions and get their buy off and whatnot. So that will take a minute, but that's something that we can start getting started on now. Pull that trigger and start moving on that.
Hmm. Okay,
And
cool.
I still think that's the right direction to go as well.
Yep. Yep. No, no, I agree. Yeah, I think I'll think about the branding a bit of some of the did stuff. Because I think it is pretty valuable. A lot of the did parts of the code base.
Mhm. I think that they're one of the parts of going to OWF also is one of the reasons we wanted to go is to be able to expand the scope beyond just Aries, to be able to
Mm,
say, hey, we're going to do OID for VC, which kind of is outside the scope of Aries.
mm,
And so chopping off the Aries from the VCX, making it just VCX, I think does change the scope some there, where it may be um, more of the like, this is the collection of Rust tools for doing SSI, DIDCOM, identity, communication, all that kind of stuff.
mm,
So it might fit better underneath that if we're chopping the Aries off of the Aries VCX name, you know.
mm,
Um, so I guess that's additional food for thought in your thinking that you mentioned there.
mm. Cool. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's keep chatting about it throughout the weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my next step there probably is to I think I probably I'm gonna talk to Stephen Curran to say, hey, we're thinking about pulling the trigger on this. Who should I talk to at OWF? Any pointers? Because he's already done it for what, 2 projects now or something at least at this point. So
Yep. Cool.
awesome.
Cool. Okay. Anything else?
I guess it comes to mind, given your is there any outstanding issues that arose out of removing Indy in that PR? Was it all wrapped up in that PR?
Yes. Okay. So yeah, one of the questions you had, open these up. Um, oh, this one was about testing. Um, yeah, I think this was the only thing you're wondering about this issue or this PR you had open about the seed secret byte stuff. Um,
Did you by key? Did you mean well by key? Were you referring to being able to pass in a seed essentially? Which I know it's the same thing, and I should probably call it a key versus a seed. But that's is that what you were referring to in your comment in your reply to me?
no, no, I was maybe I didn't remember it properly. No, I meant you sort of had it in here. Your insert key function was taking in a literal key now, which I believe, unless this was a private function, which now that I look at it, it might have been. I was thinking you had it in a way where the consumer can insert their own generated key, uh, as opposed to either letting us generate it or generating it from a seed phrase. But that might not even be the
Mm,
case. So I think we have accomplished the same goal of this PR.
okay. I will. I'll take a look at this and see if there. It's been a while since I worked on this. I got
Yeah,
distracted.
yeah, yeah. No
I'll
worries.
take a look at it, see if there's anything valuable that would be useful to add to what you had done. If
Mhm.
not, then I think we can close this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, if you could just take a look and refresh the memory on this and yeah, close the PR if there's no need for it anymore.
So reason I ask if there is any, so give besides that, um, is it something you think that we should do a release on? Or is there other stuff that we should bundle into a release before we do that? Um,
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I think that'd be a good idea. Uh, I suppose I'm expecting to have these through in the next week. But maybe it's
why don't we
best.
wait to have those merged then? Like, I don't think there's a large rush, but I figure trying to bundle together at least a couple of things to do. Like, I don't want to wait too long to do a release when because you've done a bunch of cool things, and I think putting it, putting a bow on all of it, I think is I think a good thing, you know?
All right, yeah, let's do that. Let's get these through and then drop 0.66, I believe.
Yeah,
Cool. Could you remind me as well, what does the release process look like? Did you write all these yourself?
I did.
Okay.
Well, I should say doing the release, the GitHub will auto-generate all of the commits, uh, what changed in between from the last version and the new version, and then I
Mm.
mostly organize it and put a summary on it. Um, and the release itself is kicked off by pushing a, according to my memory, is by pushing a commit that bumps the version number, and it will auto detect that, create a release, and then I'll update the notes on that release.
Okay. Right. Wait, so
And
did it generate some of this and then you tidied everything and made it look real nice?
yeah, all the bullet points that was auto generated. I just organized it into the categories and then did
Nice.
that summary
Yeah, perfect. Okay, got it. Got it.
because there's been enough commits that if it was all just been one list, it's a little bit hard to see what the it's a big mess.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
So that's something I'm happy to do when we're ready to do that. I don't remember what the release process, what happens there with the AATH. If I remember right, we're just pulling from main right now and not doing it based off of releases, but I don't remember.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, every main push should drop a new image if the code has changed. Um, or does it? Hmm. I'll check that later, but I think so.
I think so, especially because I think that right now we're setting it to like bundle is main or something, and then we have a whole, and then it renames the package, and the old ones become a like a hash or something. Um,
Yes, and that was a little bit of an ugliness. Yeah, so yeah, every main publishes a new one. And then here's all those ugly hashes.
yep, yep, yep.
Cool.
Do we have a GitHub issue for that? Because that might be one that we want to track or say, hey, so if we get a contributor, like, what can I do? You can go fix this.
I think this one.
Okay, yeah, 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 cool.
Um, good first issue. Oh yeah, I should have mentioned as well. As I've been doing this did stuff, I'm just creating issues, just minor things. I'll probably end up once they annoy me enough, I'll just do one PR that fixes, you know, a bundle of them, since they're all pretty minor.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think it's really good that you're adding issues like that to at least keep track of the things, even if you're not fixing them immediately, because uh, there is the classic thing of you're trying to build something and then you go and try and fix one thing, which leads to you fixing another thing, and then you're four layers deep, and you're like, I didn't do the thing I was supposed to. It's been 3 days.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to make them pretty with these labels.
Yeah, I give you props. Uh, I like to see. I, I like the organization. Very cool.
Cool. Okay, that's all I got.
Same.
So, yeah, I think we can wrap it up.
Awesome. Thank you for putting together the agenda and running the call. It's appreciated.
No, all good, all good. All right.
Awesome.
Well, stay in touch. See you guys next time.
See you next
Bye.
time. Bye.